All right, today we're going to be replacing the clock spring in a 2007 Jeep Wrangler. This is for 2007 all the way to 2011. The dashboard stays this way. The dashboard actually changes in 2012, but the process is pretty much the same. The part number is pretty much the same. We have a code for an open squib for the driver's side, which is this one right here. I'll have the actual code on the screen, but you can hear the clock spring in there actually makes a bunch of racket also. Okay. The clock spring I have is actually a Crown unit. It was $200. It was probably about $200 cheaper than a factory one. Okay, so we're gonna give this one a try and install it. It's actually really easy. The hardest part of this whole thing is actually getting the airbag off. So the two tools I'm going to use to remove the airbag, which is the hardest part of this whole thing, so I'm going to use a mirror and a radiator pick tool. Okay, there are 3 spots that we're going to have to unclip this thing to get it just to pop right off. There's no bolts. Okay, there's one here, and one here. So when you use the mirror, it might be kind of hard for me to record it, but if you use the mirror, you can actually kind of see the little clip bar. And I'm going to use the radiator pick tool to actually unclip it from the mount that's on the back of the steering wheel. Okay, and you'll know you got it because the airbag will kind of unclick and come towards you. Okay, that's one. Two. The third one seems to be the biggest pain in the ass, too. Ooh, all right. It just jumps off. I'm gonna want to re-straighten the wheel up. Okay. And definitely turn the car off. These guys just unclip by just pulling them off. Take your airbag and put it way over here. Okay, so to get the steering wheel off, you don't need a puller. Okay, I've seen some guys try to use a steering wheel puller on this. You don't need one. So we're gonna unplug the electrical connector first. Okay, this is the only one you have to unplug in here. 13 millimeter. Remove the bolt. Okay, now we're gonna get the bolt, stick it back in here, thread it a couple times. You don't need a puller. All you need to do is move the steering wheel back and forth a little bit like this, and it'll actually start to get loose. Okay, and pull it towards you. Pretty much just work it towards you, and it will come off. And the bolt is going to hold it from going into your face. All right. But all you got to do is just work it. Some of these are easier than others. This one's actually kind of stuck on here pretty good. And it should come right off. There you go. Unbolt it, put the steering wheel down over here. All right, so you're gonna need to take this shroud off. There's going to be 3 Torx. They're holding it on. Okay, over to my Torx, and it's gonna be a T25, and you're gonna need kind of a long one like this. Okay, you can't use like a little bit, you know, those little bits that go on the end. You need this long one because of this guy right here. The end of the screw that's holding this case together like this, the head is like right around here, so you need something that's like this long to get to it. Okay, so there's one here, there's one here, there's one right in the center. You can get off pretty easily. Okay, here's a silver one. Nice. All right, there we go. This guy right here sits like this. Okay. To the side. Okay. So this cover will come right off. Set it up here. This one, just pull it straight off, straight down. Pull this one off. Okay. We're gonna move this back down and lock it. Okay, now you want to grab a T20. Okay, and you have 3 Torx that are holding the whole assembly on, including the wiper switches and the headlight switch. They're all going to come off at the same time, and we'll be able to disconnect it once we get off. There's a Torx right here, there's one in the very back, and there's one in the very back right here. They're pretty simple to get to. Go ahead and go after this one first. Just bust it loose. And if you look at the new clock spring, you can see where the mounting is. I'm talking about this mount right here. It's like this. There's one back here. And of course, you know, there's the one on the front right there. But I go after the ones in the back first because they're the harder ones to get to. So, always do the harder stuff first, save the easier stuff for last. Okay. Get this one here. So these clock springs go bad because there's a moving ribbon cable in here that wears out eventually. So as you can see, the Jeep has 250,000 miles and it's about time it gets all worn out. Anything that moves will wear out, you know. So all you gotta do is just pull it right off, unplug the connectors. There's gonna be 4. Okay. Whoa, that one's a little, I end up hitting that. Okay, so we get that off. Now you're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver, and we're gonna take this Phillips screw out and this Phillips screw out, and then we can remove, and we're gonna reuse the wiper arm and the headlight switch. Okay, I got those 2 Phillips out, and this just pulls apart like this. Okay, it's gonna go bye-bye. Here's the new one. It just, everything just slips onto it. And see, it's got these little grooves you need to hook it up into. There's like a little groove here. There's a little groove right up here. Just push it all together. Hook up electrical. Just go. Bam. 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 Just place this back on here. Again, we want to make sure the steering wheel was straight or is straight. Push it on here. And put the Torx, these 3 Torx back in to secure it. Alright guys, this is a good time to say, if you like the video so far, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a comment if you got a question or anything like that. It really does help out my channel, okay? Next step is just pretty much just reassembly. Go ahead, get the cover, put it all back on, start with the lower one, get the upper one, sandwich this bad boy back. Alright, so this is a pin that prevents a clock spring from turning and you damaging it, because you don't want it to turn. You just pull the pin out here. Okay. Get your airbag, run the cables through, line her up. All we can do is go ahead and pull this all the way out. Now this thing can turn. The cables run through. Now the steering wheel is key to only go on one way. Okay, so it should just fall into place. Okay, and you can just wiggle it back on there. Okay, and the clock spring will align itself with this pin in this hole. Plug the wire back in. Get your bolt. Put it back on there. Zip it back on. Alright, that's good enough for me. Airbag. Yellow, yellow, black, black. Should click. Okay, now you might make a bunch of noise doing this, but you need to basically just push this guy back on. I really didn't go over this too much in the beginning of the video. Let me go over this airbag real quick. These are the hooks, or these brackets you're trying to bend out. Okay, so these little hooks right here are what holds these clips on. Okay, and when you're using the hook tool, you're basically taking this and pushing it outward and trying to get it to unclip, you know, and unclip. All right, so I'm gonna make a little bit of noise now because we're just gonna press it on. So the horn might go off a couple times, but might get it nice and lined up, and basically just smash it on there. We're good to go. Okay. The key, start her up. So there's my airbag light right there.
Waiting for pairing.
And it just turned off, okay? The airbag light is cleared. I do have some other lights. That's because this thing has some other issues, okay? That I'm gonna end up fixing in a different video. But for right now, no more airbag light. We are good. And that's how you replace the clock spring in a 07 to 11 Jeep Wrangler JK.